Welcome back. In this lesson, we are going to make this really cool cell phone amplifier product. So something that actually fits your phone. Let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to do File, New, and General. And first things first, let's go ahead and save our project. So Save As, and I have my Blender folder here. We'll just call this Phone Amp. And hit Save. And we don't need Suzanne for this lesson, so let's just click your Suzanne and delete. And we're going to add a cube. So let's click on Flexible Design, Shift A, and let's add a cube. And this is going to represent our cell phone. So we don't know what the measurements are going to be. So maybe just type in anything like maybe like 100. That should be fine. And hit period on your numpad. And so we're going to turn this into our phone. That way we can kind of work with real life objects inside of Blender. So let's just double click this cube and call it phone. That's going to represent our cell phone. And now what we need to do is measure our cell phone and put the dimensions in right here for X, Y, and Z. So let's go ahead and get out our calipers or some rulers and measure your cell phone or a friend's cell phone or your parents and put these numbers in. So first I'm just going to measure from top to bottom. I'm going to leave my cell phone case on because I want, I don't want to take my cell phone case on and off to put it into this product. So just go ahead and get that measurement, whether it's in inches or in millimeters or centimeters, whatever you got. So for the height of my cell phone, it is 155 millimeters. So I'm just going to type in 155. And if you did inches, you could type in like, if it's 6 inches, you could do 6 space IN, and Blender will automatically type that in for millimeters, but mine is 155. And the next thing we want to do is take our calipers or our ruler and measure the width of our phone. Make sure you get the case, the buttons, anything, just kind of get kind of a good estimate and try and get as exact as you can. So the width of my cell phone is looking about 75 millimeters. So I'm going to come into Blender and just type in for the X value, 75, and hit enter. So that's 75 millimeters by 155 tall. And now we need to find how thick is our cell phone. So let's get our calipers and measure the thickness at the thickest part of our cell phone. And my cell phone at the thickest part is 13 millimeters. So we'll go back into Blender and just type in for the Z, 13. And there we go. So now we've got a super blocky version of our phone. This is the actual dimensions. If we scale back or zoom out, and look at our phone, our printing volume here, it should look pretty accurate. So I have a 1 foot by 1 foot by like 2 feet almost print bed volume. So that looks correct to me. So we know that's accurate. And then looking at our phone, we've got the dimensions correct, but our scale is all out of whack and wonky. So let's reset that and just do, click on the phone, do Control A to apply scale. And that will reset that back to 1. And we've got our exact measurement still. And the next thing we're going to do is add a bevel modifier. So go to your modifiers, make sure you have your phone selected and that you're in object mode, and go to add modifier, bevel, right there at the second column there. And we can do maybe like 0.5 for the bevel. And you can kind of see it started to bevel there. And maybe for the segments, like 3. And I want mine to be a little bit more rounded because my cell phone's not a perfect cube. So let's just crank up the bevel here. And I'm going to go pretty far until the bevel is kind of even with this flat part right here. So looks like it's going to be about 5. So I'm just going to type in 5. That looks good. And notice that our dimensions haven't changed at all because, let's see if we go to the top view, the edge and the bottom and the thickness are still, at the widest these. We've just kind of rounded the edges. And the reason we're doing this is because we're going to cut out this, we're going to use this phone shape to subtract from our cell phone amplifier for this product we're making today. And now look at your actual cell phone in real life and look for where the speaker appears at. Some phones have it like off to the side here. Some are in the middle, some may be on the back, on the side, at the bottom and the top. So just kind of figure out where your speakers are. Mine is on this kind of bottom right corner here. So let me go into top view. Yeah. So mine is in this bottom corner here. And so I'm just going to kind of make a representation of that. So let's go into edit mode and do a loop cut. And we'll just do a loop cut and bring it over here. And then I'll go to face select, click on this face, do I for inset, and then E to extrude just a little bit. And that's just to, remind me while I'm designing, like my speaker, the sound is going to come out of here. That way, you can just always keep in mind where things are when you're designing for practicality. So let's go ahead and switch back into object mode, and let's stand our phone upright. So let's just click on the phone, click R to rotate, and we're going to hit X on the keyboard to lock it to the X, and just rotate it 90 degrees. There we go. And let's bring it on up. So it's kind of floating up here. So G and Z, and just bring it up like that. There we go. And so now we've got our phone. Let's add a material to it just for fun. So we'll add a material. We can do new, and we can call it phone. And let's just change the color to black. And then we can make it reflective. And let's go into look dev or into EV mode, EV render view. That way we can kind of see what's going on here. And let's go down and let's add some, maybe make it more metallic. So like maybe 0.75 for metallic. I'm just going to make it a little shinier. Right there, you can kind of see. And the specular will, make it more or less, how much is it reflecting? How much specular does it have? And we can take the roughness, either up or down, however much sheen or shine you want for your cell phone to have. And now let's go into our render engine tab up here. And we have Eevee turned on. And let's just turn on ambient occlusion, bloom, and screen space reflections. And that's going to let us have some reflections later when we start adding our amp, our little phone amplifier here. Now we're going to add our amplifier. So let's just create a cube, and our 3D cursor is right here in the center still. So I'm just going to do Shift A, add a mesh and a cube, and we can keep 100. That's great. And let's rename this. Instead of cube, let's call it amp. And this is going to be our phone amplifier. And let's just kind of move it around kind of in the center here. I'm going to go to side view, hit G and Z, bring it on up. And that's pretty good. We'll just kind of leave it like that for now. And now let's add some color for our amplifier here. And this is just for fun, for while we're designing. I'm just going to make a new one, call it amp. And we will change the color, how we do, red. But you can use any color you want. And now you can kind of see it's like reflecting off of our phone there. So like a real phone would. So now we've got the basic setup. We've got our phone in the correct dimensions, and we've got the very beginning of our phone amplifier. But let's go ahead and jump into the next lesson where we're going to turn this red cube into a really funky, flexible phone amp.